guys, my name's Caroline Simpkins. I'm a math teacher at Swift Creek Middle School. Before I get started, I just wanted to say anything I talk about in this video, feel free to email me at any time and I will clarify. My email is Simpkins, SIMPKINSC, as in cat, at leonschools.net. So I'm going to kind of go over how I plan on doing the hybrid model in my classroom. Firstly, I'm going to talk about all of the technology that I'm using. So I have AirPods in. You could use any microphone that works for you. These AirPods are going to connect to my Lenovo tablet that's assigned to me by my school. This is a touchscreen tablet and it has a stylus because as a math teacher, it's going to be very helpful for me to be able to write on my screen so that my brick and mortar kids can see it and my digital kids can see it. So next I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to bring up the notes for my brick and mortar and my digital kids. Okay, so each day, this is my Canvas page, so I'm using my second period. The first thing I'm going to do is open up Zoom for my students. So I'm going to go to Zoom as my option on my sidebar. And I've already set up a recurring meeting for my second period. So I'm going to click Start. And it will open your Zoom if that's already an option for your computer. And a few things with Zoom. So I always, when I first log in, want to go here and not allow the kids to unmute themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And in the chat, I'm going to go over to these three dots. And I'm going to make sure that the kids can only chat with me and not chat with each other. So that's why host only is checked. So the next thing that's going to happen is my digital student. This is the view from their screen. So they are going to log on to Zoom for my class as well. And there's my digital student. So how I'm going to show my notes to my students is I'm going to share my screen and I am using the OneNote class notebook as my notes. So you'll see that it is on my screen, it is on my digital student screen, and then my brick and mortar student can also see the notes. So she would either be writing it paper if you're choosing that, or she will have her Chromebook or device to be able to take notes. So you'll see anything that I do, for example, today's integer operations. So if we were working on problem number 1, -3 plus -1 would be -4. And whatever I write on my screen, my digital student can also see it written on her screen as well. There's a little bit of a lag, but it does show up for her. So if my digital student has a question, this is how I'm going to manage that. So she can either chat me or she can raise her hand. So digital student, if you want to go ahead and do one of those two things. Okay, so it pops up as more. And if you hit the chat feature, my digital student said, how do I do math? So I can either verbally respond or I could type in my answer. Or if my virtual student wanted to actually voice their question, they could raise their hand and that would alert me as well. So I'm going to actually, for my class, I'm going to leave the chat box down here. You could obviously open or close that whenever you want to. Okay, last thing I'm going to talk about is kind of some options of how to set up this new block schedule for those of us that maybe aren't used to teaching in that style, myself included. This is going to be my first time. So I can't take credit for this. Shout out to Mary Wheeler at Robb Middle School as well as Delia Progazelski for helping create this document. So this is an example of a 105-minute class and with 3 station activities. So you'll see the top is a 30-minute whole class instruction. So that's when my digital kids would log in and do whatever the direct instruction for the day is. And then I would break them into 3 different groups to do small groups with the teacher, practice, independent practice, some sort of IXL if your school has that, or iReady, or whatever options your school has.
Yep.
Second option is very similar, except you would not have that 30-minute instruction time at the top of class. The whole entire class period would be full of those 3 station activities. So your digital kids would still log on at the beginning for like a bell work, and then you would release them to do whatever they needed to do that day. This is very similar to the first option. It's just 2 station activities instead of 3. They also did a test day. So your first 30 minutes would be sort of a warm-up or review. That middle hour would be when the students would take their assessment. And then the end of class would be like cleaning up, kind of wrapping up class. And then another option would be like if you have 2 lessons that day. Again, we are teaching in a block, so you're essentially teaching those 2 days wrapped into one. You could teach whole class instruction, have the kids log off and practice, have them log back in, or you could do that back to back. These are just some options that you could use in your own classroom. All right, thanks guys. Like I said, if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to email me. Again, it's simpkins@leonschools.net. Remember, we're all in this together. This is new for everybody. Just do your best and it'll be great.